So we're here now with Molly Burgess, who's the Executive Director of the MCIE. And we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the successes that have happened as a result of these enormously successful summits. How did things develop out of the summits?
Well, I was hired to be the summit manager for the 2014 summit. And I think that's the first time we had it at a big convention center.
Yes.
And so we were invited to go to the Georgia State Manufacturers Association Governor's Luncheon and Awards. And so Debbie and I traveled to Georgia. And we were met by Gus Whalen. You want to fill in a little bit about Gus?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So at the time, working in economic development at Chaffey College with Kathy Dutton, who you met earlier, we went to what's called a CWA, California Workforce Association. A lot of educators, a lot of government around the table, and they brought out a guest speaker. And his name was Gus Whalen. He had a giant picture of sequoias and just the words "hooked at the roots" on the sign. And I was like, this is interesting. What is this going to be? And it turns out he was talking about his manufacturing group out of Georgia, the Atlanta area, and how all of them were hooked at the roots, that the sequoias grow, they're 300 feet tall or whatever, but very small root base, and what holds them together is this root connection. And I was like intrigued, and I said, okay, I'll stay a little longer instead of going back to my hotel room. And in listening to him, he said each year they held an awards luncheon for manufacturers who were involved in their communities and giving back in some way. So it was a powerful piece because we already had the momentum started with our Manufacturers Council and the beginnings of a summit. And it triggered the idea we really can capitalize on this and kind of maybe rethink the way we deliver our summits. Mm-hmm. And so that was what was proposed next. And to get to that, Molly and I got to go there and kind of explore and see what they were doing.
We went to one of the training colleges.
Yes.
And we saw some other business incubator locations that Gus had. But I think
and he started Communiversity, isn't that correct?
The Communiversity
yes.
movement. And but what was really impactful for me is Gus invited us and some other people involved with the college over for dinner at his house, and his wife made dinner. It was just delightful, and we sat around the dining room table and we learned so much about what everybody was doing. Mm-hmm. And then I got up for some reason, and Gus followed me into the living room, and he pretty much said, "You will do this." And when Gus told you to do something, you did it.
Small in stature, but mighty.
So we came back and we actually invited Gus to the 2015 council summit. And he spoke at that time, and it was really fortuitous because he passed away that fall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was a major hit at the summit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, and really gave everybody a new perspective, I think, on how the community can work together. Manufacturers can work with each other and with community colleges and other organizations in order to really do a lot of good work.
I think that's what struck a chord with me is the communiversity concept, which was a new word for me, was that it linked the community college, the universities together, along with all of their regional community partners. And we had the makings of that in our region. So it was just perfect timing. You know.
And one of the things that came out of that visit is we met a gentleman from Michigan that had a very successful manufacturers association in Jackson, Michigan. His name is Bill Rail. And so the board invited Bill to fly out and spend some time with our board to help us understand how to organize the association of manufacturers. And it was that was inspiring too, to see all of the different training sessions, welding classes for little girls, summer camps that they have for students, and the ongoing activities that they were able to support in Jackson, Michigan.
And so if Jackson, Michigan can do it, we figured we could do it in the Inland Empire.
Absolutely, and we started to become known, at least through California, but I think further. I recall Dorothy Rothrock from CMTA, California Manufacturing and Technology Association, which is the major lobbying group for manufacturers in Sacramento, citing us around the state and the work that we were doing. It was very exciting.
And then the inclusion of, I'm not sure how we got connected, but NAM, the National Association of Manufacturing, was brought in so that at our summits, we could bring an element of our regional, where we stand regionally in terms of manufacturing, what's on the horizon, what are the trends, and then statewide and then nationally, so that they could bring in what the expectation is for manufacturing. Is there growth? Is there a decline? What can we as educators plan for? So it was a win-win-win for all the parties in the room at that time.
That's right.
It encourages funding or discourages funding from going into manufacturing. So it's a critical piece for everybody to kind of be on the same page and understand what the needs are as it relates to manufacturing.
Thank you both.
Thank you.